Yeah. What if I told you that one of the most powerful financial institutions on the planet might just be running its mouth too much? We're talking about the Federal Reserve, the big dogs, the folks who control interest rates, move markets, and basically decide how expensive your mortgage, your car loan, and your credit card debt is going to be. And the guy about to take over, he says they need to zip it. That's right. The incoming Fed boss is going after the Fed's own communication playbook. And America, you need to hear this. Let's get into it.
All right, let's set the scene. The name is Kevin Warsh, and as of this Monday, he's officially the new head of the Federal Reserve. That's not just a big deal, that's a massive deal. Now, during his confirmation hearing last month, Warsh dropped something that turned heads all over Washington. He said, and I'm not paraphrasing here, Fed officials speak quite frequently, and that truth-seeking is more important than repetition. Okay, so what does that even mean in plain English? It means this dude thinks the Fed is out here talking so much that it's actually hurting more than it's helping. He went further. He said,
if you're holding a press conference, you better have something important to say, not just noise.
Not just filler, real, meaningful information. Because right now, he doesn't think that's always happening. And here's the kicker. He's talking about rolling out a new framework and new tools to change how the Fed communicates. He didn't give us the details yet, but when the incoming Fed chair hints at major changes, Wall Street listens. The whole country should too. But hold up. Before you decide if Warsh is onto something or just talking crazy, let's back it up real quick, because this actually has history behind it.
Here's something wild most Americans don't know. For most of its 113-year history, the Federal Reserve said virtually nothing in public. No press conferences, no policy statements, no speeches. Zip. Zero. Nada. If you were a trader back in the day and you wanted to figure out what the Fed was doing with interest rates, you had to literally watch market movements and guess. That was the system. Imagine that. Then came Fed Chair Alan Greenspan in 1994. He changed the game. He introduced the post-meeting policy statement, basically the Fed's first real public communication tool. And just like that, the era of Fed transparency began. Then Ben Bernanke, who took over later, went even further. In April 2011, he held the first ever formal Fed press conference. And when he did, he said something that basically became the Fed's communication philosophy for the next decade and a half. He said, I have always been a big believer in providing as much information as you can to help the public understand what you're doing and to be accountable. Bold words. And for a long time, it worked. The Fed's regular press conferences and economic projections helped guide Wall Street, set expectations, and kept markets from freaking out. In fact, a fresh survey from the Brookings Institution, dropped just this month, found that most economists and analysts want the Fed to keep those press conferences going after every single rate-setting meeting. So there's clearly still a camp that says, keep talking, Fed. Don't stop now. But here's where things get complicated. And this is where the story gets real interesting. So here's the thing. Communication works great when the economy is predictable. But when things go sideways, all that talking can actually backfire hard. And look, we've seen this play out in real time recently. Cast your mind back to when President Trump unveiled those stiff tariffs last spring. The Fed, including Chair Jerome Powell, came out swinging. They warned of significantly higher inflation, weaker economic growth. Doom and gloom, basically. But then, Trump pulled back on the tariffs. Businesses adapted. Consumer inflation didn't surge the way the Fed predicted. And suddenly those big, scary Fed warnings looked kind of wrong. That's an awkward look for the most powerful financial institution in the country. And then this year, the U.S.-Israeli conflict with Iran dropped like a bomb on the Fed's ability to even read the economy, let alone communicate about it clearly. One top economist, Derek Tang from Monetary Policy Analytics, put it perfectly.
He said the Fed's projections and speeches are useful, like in 2022, when Fed officials used their communication to signal they were dead serious about hiking rates to kill off inflation. That signal alone meant they didn't have to raise rates as high as they might have needed to, because the communication did the heavy lifting. But Tang also admitted Warsh has a point. When the forecast keeps changing, you gotta be careful not to get married to one outlook. And right now, the Fed's own policy statements have been screaming one word over and over: uncertain, uncertain, uncertain. How many times can you say you're uncertain before people just stop listening altogether? That's the question Warsh is asking. And honestly, it's a fair one. Now, here's another wrinkle. Even if Warsh wants to dial back communication, he can't just muzzle the entire Fed. There are 12 regional Fed bank presidents across the country, and they operate independently. He can change his own approach, but he can't silence everybody. A third of respondents in that Brookings survey actually said those regional presidents should already be speaking less. So the appetite for change, it's real.
All right, let's bring it home. Because I know what you might be thinking. Cool story, but why should I care about Fed press conferences? Here's why you should care. Deeply. Every time the Fed speaks, every forecast, every press conference, every public speech, it moves markets. And when markets move, your money moves. Your 401k, your mortgage rate, your savings account, your car payment. All of it. If the Fed over-communicates and gets it wrong, like they did with those tariff warnings, it creates confusion, spooks investors, and can ripple out to hit regular Americans right in the wallet. But if the Fed goes too quiet, then we're back to the pre-1994 days, where nobody knows what's going on, markets guess wildly, and volatility goes through the roof. There's no perfect answer here, and that's exactly what makes this moment, with Kevin Warsh stepping into the big chair, such a pivotal one for the American economy. The man wants to change the playbook. Whether that helps or hurts, America is about to find out.
Look, I am gonna keep it real with you for a second because that's why you come to this channel. The Federal Reserve just got a new boss and he's already stirring the pot before he's even fully unpacked his office. Kevin Warsh is not just tweaking a few things, he's questioning the entire way the Fed has been talking to America for the past 30 years. Now, I am not here to tell you whether is right or wrong. What I am here to tell you is this: when the people controlling your interest rates starting debating how much to even tell you about what they are doing, that should make every single one of you pay attention, because here's the truth nobody on cable news is gonna say out loud. The Fed talking too much and the Fed going quiet are both scary in different ways. And right now, in any economy that's already walking a tightrope between inflation, tariffs, and a war that nobody planned for, the last thing any of us need is more confusion at the top. So I wanna hear from you. Drop it in the comments right now. Do you think the Fed should be more transparent with Americans, or is Wash right? Less talk, more action. Sound off, because your opinion on this matters more than you think. And if this video got your brain going, if it made you if it made you think even a little differently about how the economy actually works, hit that subscribe button, because every single day I am right here breaking down the stuff that actually affects your life, your family, and your future. No fluff, no spin, just real talk. I will see you tomorrow. Stay sharp, America. Thank you.